The biggest question for Auburn football this week is who will start the quarterback position, Bo Nix or TJ Finley. And this is something we've talked about several times in the offseason. We have several videos kind of breaking down each quarterback's film and kind of comparing the two. So we won't spend too much time comparing the two. I want to spend more of today's video talking about TJ Finley and breaking down the film of Finley from Georgia State's game, just because we've seen a lot of Bo Nix already. Now, I do have some film of Bo Nix from the Georgia State game that we break down at the very end, but today's film is going to be mostly on TJ Finley. So let's go ahead and dive into it. We're going to look at TJ Finley, look at what he did well against Georgia State, and some improvement areas that you want to see if he does start against LSU, and then same with Bo Nix. But again, we've seen already 3.5-ish or so games of Bo Nix this year, so I spent more time on TJ Finley than Bo Nix, but still did some Nix at the very end. So we're going to dive into the film and kind of see what they did well. And just remember, LSU's defense would be much different than Georgia State's defense. Georgia State had a lot of off-man coverage, right? A lot of bail techniques, inside technique from the DBs, playing 6-7 yards off line scrimmage. And I'm not saying LSU's defense is the LSU defense of old, but they're going to present probably a much more, a bigger challenge, right, than Georgia State's defense. They're going to be kind of probably press man and kind of do some things at line of scrimmage. So let's go ahead and look at TJ Finley, look at some Bo Nix, and I'll catch you in the back end. Before we dive into the film, I just want to encourage you all to consider subscribing to the channel if you like any quarterback-related content. Boom. Okay, let's go ahead and look at some TJ Finley film. So here's a 3rd and 5 conversion from Finley, and something that he does well, and he did well at LSU, is keeping his eyes downfield as he uses his legs to set up a pass. He's not the runner that Bo Nix is, but he still has some ability, especially being a good guy, big guy, and we see it here. Able to step in the pocket, come, and then able to just dump it off right here to pick up a first down. So that ability is something that Nix obviously has the advantage of as far as running goes, but Finley does have that ability, and he's looking to pass as he is scrambling. Good ball there for 3rd and 5. So here's TJ Finley on a 1st and 10. This is into the 3rd quarter kind of route he's getting put in. We're going to see a deep throw or deep out route here that TJ Finley is able to throw. That the receiver at the bottom of the screen, boom, comes out here. Good long throw from Finley to the outside part of the field, and we can see that the DB's already in off coverage. Good job by Finley recognizing that, and he kind of is playing an inside technique here. So good decision and good ball placement as well from TJ Finley. So this is an example of his arm strength from the middle of the field. Good blocking up front. Ball comes out right as the receiver is breaking, so I don't even think it was out. It was actually kind of like a little stop/comeback. Regardless, good throw by Finley, and if he is the guy to start against LSU, you can expect some of these long type throws, but the anticipation factor that Finley could potentially have, I think could be something that may be able to set him apart if you add his anticipation and his arm strength to be able to make these type of throws on a regular basis. So I'm catching this right in the middle of the play, actually, so my fault for starting it late. This is the last drive where Auburn has the ball to take the lead. It's 2nd and 10 from about the 42-yard line, about a minute and a half left. So again, another example of Finley being able to escape. And he had a few of these plays where he's escaping, using his legs to buy time and throwing the ball downfield. You'll see, again, impressive arm strength. Breaks the tackle there. And is able, to deliver the ball to the receiver right there. So good ability to escape the pocket as downfield and throw a good ball. Again, the DBs and defenders for LSU could be a little bit faster, but you still like to see Finley's ability to do this. So here's a strike late in the game from Finley, about 20-ish yards on a line, on a rope to their the player lined up in a slot position / tight end position right here. Good strike right when the receiver gets past the linebacker. Finley's able to deliver a good ball here. So you can argue it's a little low. It shows his arm strength for sure. You can argue that it's low, and that's probably a correct argument. But at the same time, if it's delivered high, or if he leads the receiver a bit more, that could be an interception or a knockout blow. So it's a good job fitting the ball into a tight space, right? That's something Finley is able to do, fit the ball into tight spaces here. So a good example, pushing it downfield, and this put them in a good position to score, even though it took them a few plays. So here's a 4th and 9 touchdown throw from Finley. And just like we've talked about in some of the other clips in this video, is what he does good on. Scrambling, eyes on field, delivering a throw on the run. And again, it's just 4th and 9, and pretty crazy to think Auburn was this close to losing. Look at that. Auburn was this close to losing to Georgia State. Finley keeps it alive, takes a hit, boom, and delivers a ball for a touchdown. So a good job there for Finley. You don't want to come to 4th and 9, down by 5 against Georgia State, of course, but able to get a win, largely thanks to Finley in this last drive. So kudos there, good play there from TJ Finley. Here's a 3rd and 8 here, and just like one of the other plays that we watched from his good from a good section of the plays, we see a throw from the middle of the field, this time to the left side of the field on a kind of a deep comeback here. The DB jumps in, probably should have been picked, but it's the same coverage that Finley completed a ball on. It's off man, right? So he's about 6-7 yards off, inside technique. It's a long throw. So this is an example of TJ Finley relying probably too much on his arm strength. Ball comes out, and then that probably should have been picked there. There was pressure coming as well, but like a lot of quarterbacks, their strengths can also be their quote-unquote weakness or areas that they need to improve on. So that's probably a ball that shouldn't have been thrown. DB saw him complete that ball in the previous quarter, not this time there. So something to grow on. Pretty good experience that he was able to get in and have this potentially interception happen here. But just an example of kind of an improvement area that we will call it. So here's a throw from Finley to the bottom. There's a receiver in the bottom of the screen, just a go route, and we see again off-man coverage, inside technique, and LSU is probably not going to give your receivers this much space. Now, granted, they're up by 5 at this point in the game, 9 minutes left, but still LSU is probably going to be up in the face of the receivers a lot. So you probably want to see a little bit more of an accurate throw here. I paused it. The receiver does beat him. So we probably just want a little more accurate of a throw downfield, especially knowing that LSU's DBs probably aren't going to get beat by a few yards, and they're going to be playing probably some press man against Auburn here. So here's another shot downfield for like a deep post route here. That was decent coverage, but probably a ball you want Finley to complete. You'll see him put it on a line, maybe put a little more air on this ball and let your receiver go get it. And again, don't expect LSU to give Auburn's offense this much space here. So we're going to see a little fake there. Steps up in the pocket. You see his good arm strength, right? But the receiver has his DB beat, so probably doesn't need to be thrown on a line. Ball's right there. Boom. Put some air under it, get a little arc under it, and have the receiver run under it and get it. So again, just some accuracy downfield is what you want to see. Probably a little bit of improvement on TJ Finley because the receivers were there. So just some improvement areas there. Put some arc on it, let your receiver go get the ball there and make a play. So here's a really good throw from Bo Nix from the right hash of the field to the left side of the field on a deep out here. Good rhythm pass on 3rd and 7. These are the plays right here that show Nix's talent and show why you keep sticking with him, even though there are some head scratching plays. But the plays like this are kind of probably why he's been starting so far this year. So right hash of the field, 1, 2, 3, quick hitch, ball's out, good throw. Again, not a lot of space there. Leads to a big play for Auburn, and I don't think, like I've talked in the earlier video, the LSU DPs aren't going to give you that much space and probably going to do a lot more press man than what Georgia State was doing. Probably guarantee that. But again, throws like that show that Nix has the tools, but everyone knows that. It's just the other plays. So another good throw from Bo Nix. This is something we talked about early actually in the middle of the offseason. We were doing some comparison videos. Is when Bo Nix just takes what the defense gives him and doesn't try to do too much is when he's usually at his best, right? And so we're going to see him go through these progressions here. He looked this side of the field. He's already coming back to this crossing route here. Nice, easy throw for completion, and like it leads to bigger plays, right? So again, this is good. This is a good part of Bo Nix, right? He's able to go through these progressions, and you really thought you were seeing more improvement until the Georgia State game from Nix. But again, you do like seeing that. So if he is the guy moving forward against LSU, take him the defense gives you, especially the LSU defense, that even though it's been suspect this year, they're still going to play you tight and close as far as not giving you a lot of space off the line of scrimmage. But again, good example of Bo Nix going through progressions and hitting his receiver crossing. So 2nd and 7 from Bo Nix. Another good long throw from the right hash of the field to the left side of the field here. So we're going to see a good read, good long throw. So again, stuff we already know, that he can make every throw, good strong arm. We see off-man coverage, right? 6-7 yards off line of scrimmage, inside technique, something you saw a lot of at Georgia State. Ball comes out. Good long throw there, right? So good read, taking the defense gives him, just like we talked about. Again, I don't know if there'll be that much space against LSU, but still, these are the plays that you want Nix to stay in and feel comfortable in. So here's a play that just demonstrates the consistency factor from Bo Nix. And again, something we talked about in the offseason, something Auburn fans already know, so I won't need to beat a dead horse, but just an example of the consistency factor that the Auburn fans are looking for. Tight end running a seam route here. He gets open. I know it's not an easy throw, but you do miss high. These are throws you want to be able to hit here. It's a good read by Nix, right? So he's making a good read here. The ball just gets away and just sails on him. There's space to make that throw. Just gets high there. So just an example of the consistency factor. Being able to hit more of these type of throws will help that completion percentage and keep drives alive there. So just to recap, we saw some good plays of TJ Finley and some improvement areas, and you can argue he will improve on those areas, excuse me, if given the more experience, more time to. And Bo Nix, we saw the good plays, and then we saw the consistency issue as well. Again, it's been too much time on it just because we already have a few games of film of Bo Nix. But I want to hear from you. Who do you think will start for Auburn this week? Who do you think should start for Auburn this week against LSU? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you next time on the next quarterback-related video.